hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Season 3 of the Rule 34 podcast. I'm your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-hosts.
Dominic Castillo.
I was drinking water. Giovanni.
Alright, how have you guys been? It's been quite some time since we recorded an episode.
Indeed. It's I apologize again. The busyness has been busy with my schedule and my timing, so I again apologize for the constant postponement of episodes and the constant late timings. We're gonna talk this through a little bit afterwards, in case we ever need to do like backup plans. So that's gonna be that for later. I have been pretty okay at the moment. Work has been pretty awesome. A lot of the money's rolling through, thankfully. So that's, a good thing for the time being. I'm planning to do some little like modifications to my my little room car. I'm not sure what, but I'm currently saving up money, on the side to see what I'm thinking about doing for it for later on. What else has been going on? There are some news that's also been that just sparked up like yesterday, which was pretty crazy. I'm not sure if you guys know that Grand Theft Auto 6 has had its details leaked by a pretty crazy hacker dude under the name of Teapot Uber Hacker, who allegedly hacked Uber as and got out and breached up into their databases, which I think is a little bit menacing considering he's going for the big name companies. Who knows what this guy is gonna do? But apparently, this guy is seeking $100,000 for the source code for the game. And for those who don't know, if you're able to attain the source code for a game before it releases, you can make like mods, cheats, and hacks, which is something Rockstar definitely doesn't want to do. And just today, a bit earlier, a couple of hours before, Rockstar posted on their Twitter and on their Instagram, stating their apologies and stuff. And I'm thinking, like, damn, like this is like the lowest Rockstar has stooped in terms of like, I guess hiding their future games, because like Rockstar is a company that like surprises and they never ever like release like anything until it's ready. So yeah, that's some pretty big news. Also, for those who don't know, the main characters we have like I think it's a woman now. So we have a Latina woman. I think as one of the main protagonists, so that's gonna be a different change as compared to what we have for the last 9 years. But yeah, how have you guys been?
Interesting stuff. I've been doing pretty well. How about you, Jew?
Same as always.
Getting more into that, I do think it's pretty crazy but I find it crazy that only now is like some type of gameplay of GTA 6 getting leaked, when it's been talked about for so many years and people like making memes about it's not coming out,
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that it took this long, and then when we finally got it, it was funny to see people like complaining about how terrible the game looked, and everyone was like, it's like an early model of it. And the fact that was like an early model just kind of shows how crazy game development is,
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure the models were from 2019, so from 3 years ago. But considering the span of 3 years that such footage looks like back then, and there's probably a lot of progress like going right now, and then continue on board because the game's probably going to be released maybe next year, maybe in 2 years, 3 years time. So we still have a lot of time to wait, but I'm pretty sure a lot of progress has been done over the storyline, the models of the characters, the model of the city, because I think the city is not going to be in Vice City, or in other words, a fictional Miami, which is going to be pretty cool. I hope it rolls nice for the game. I do have a bad feeling that with Grand Theft Auto 5, they're going to just milk it very hard for the money, as with GTA 5, they constantly pushed a very bad economy for the game. So everything within the game is very expensive to purchase. So that means either you grind out the money, or you just buy just shark cards as what the in-game currency, presents to you. So I have a bad feeling it's just going to be all of this all over again. I hope it's not that way, but it's, we've already seen the same situation with GTA 5 for the past 6, 7, 8 years now. But yeah, in terms of the hacking situation, there's also been other reports that the hacker himself has been reportedly found out. So I think this is a 16-year-old kid, doing like these huge data breaches, and it's kind of crazy to think about because the only way he was able to get into the databases to get the source code and the videos of the recordings of the game, he apparently did a bit of social engineering. So he was able to get the admin password and username from like a employee from Rockstar, just from like a Slack account. And for those who don't know what Slack is, it's like a group company based like messaging system where you could like talk with like members and kind of like Discord. It's basically like a Discord for like companies and businesses. But he was able to social engineer his way through, get the passwords, and just like that, everyone's clowning on the employee who gave away the password, just like that. And now Rockstar is practically paying the price now, considering all of the data has been out. Everyone knows what the game is going to be years probably before the game is even out. So now expectations are in place, meaning that Rockstar is not going to they're not going to get the launch that they wanted as compared to GTA 5, because GTA 5, I don't think leaks ever occurred, or this, in terms of this scale of like massive data breaches. So we'll see what Rockstar is going to do. I don't think they're going to change much as compared to what we're seeing now with the 2019 leaks. But I think they're just going to stay the course, because I think at this point it's too late to change the game and how it looks like, along with the storyline. So they're just going to stay with what they got. I'm not sure if they're going to pay the ransom, because at the end of the day, if the ransom is not paid off, the hacker's just going to release even more information. And, I'll be honest, I did download, some of this stuff. It was for free, thankfully. But it was interesting. It's going to be interesting how Rockstar is going to play this out. If they pay the kid, they just lock some blackmail. If they don't, well, they're going to have the hands tied with more information being leaked out to the public, which is something they don't want. But, the hacker I don't think he's going to... I'm pretty sure he already has everything he needs. He could just probably print out papers, just place him wherever he lives. Just like that. I don't think taking down that is going to be so easy. But, yeah.
Isn't that extortion?
Well, yeah. This is pretty much... That's the definition of all this that's going.
Rockstar doesn't have to pay anything. They could just take legal action against the kid, and then they should be fine.
No, yeah. That's if they track him down. That's the thing, though, because
if people know that he's a 16-year-old, then
they know he's 16, but they don't know his name and stuff.
Then how do they know he's 16?
That's what I'm just looking at my sources. They just know it's a 16-year-old. Apparently, this kid worked with another hacking corporation named Lapsus with the $sign at the S. Apparently, he was working with them for this data breach, and all they know is that the kid is 16 or around the age of 16. But this could all be a lie just to throw us off. So, you never know. Maybe he's trying to cover his tracks, just to stay at age 16. Maybe he's a different age. Maybe he's a different gender. We don't know. We do not know all the details as of yet. Unless, if we did, we would have had a name by this point. But nothing as of yet has occurred so far. And as to with that, nothing much else is going on at the moment. What else is going on in terms of Rockstar? Yeah, at the moment, they're just waiting to see what this Teapot Uber hacker dude is going to do. If he releases out more information to the public, well, I guess the ransom was not paid. And, this is just going to look bad for Rockstar, because if he keeps putting out more info, we're practically going to get the whole game years before it's even been released. And yeah, that's the situation at the moment. In terms of the social media side of things, in terms of the Rockstar situation, everyone's pretty much clowning on the employee who gave the info, and as well as just like little memes here and there about the release of GTA 6 and its contents as to it so far. And a question for you guys. Regarding the amount of games and years Rockstar has put out in terms of Grand Theft Auto 5, and considering the majority of it all, every single game has had male protagonists. So what do you guys think of a female protagonist as a first time? You know,
you're gonna get a lot of hate for it. Or there's going to be like a huge majority of the people that play the game that voice their opinions against the female lead.
Right.
Because, I don't know, playing as a woman is that much of an issue for them. It's going to be the same thing that happened to Assassin's Creed when they first introduced the female lead for their video game. It's like, oh, but it's not the same. Assassins are supposed to be like powerful men, blah blah blah. Or her voice is too deep, so she's not feminine enough. And it's gonna be a bunch of stupidity on the internet.
I see.
Or it might not be like that, and people, well, depending on how the character is made and her personality and how the story progresses, people might actually enjoy the difference. But I don't know. It's going to be, I feel like it's going to be more hate than, what's the word? Than positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and also it's like, my thing is like, I don't get why more games don't, just include, like, both options, you know? Like, the whole thing of you choose, you customize your character, or whatever. Or not even the whole customize character, but, like, just choose whether you want your character to be male or female, you know, but then that kind of leads to a whole debate of a whole issue of like, you see a lot of games do that, and then the character is just like a robot almost, you know, like, because it's either male or female, they don't speak, they barely speak, they repeat the same lines, and then it's like you barely get a memorable sort of character, you know,
right?
Like what's a game I can give like as an example? I'm trying to think, because like, you know, with the whole GTA franchise, specifically GTA 5, it's like people remember the characters because they were, like how Gio was saying, they were written well and specific, you know, in a way that like they had memorable traits and moments to remember them by, and you rarely see that with just the custom characters because they're so limited, you know, like there's not much they can do. And
right.
Like, you also get to the other side where it's like with like for example, like 2K, where they have the My Career mode, where even if you like customize your character, it's like, I don't know, like a lot of times it just doesn't match, or like a lot of people find the 2K stuff very corny and stuff because it's obvious they're like trying too hard at sometimes, you know.
Right.
But you kind of get that issue where it's like it's kind of more difficult to write the characters when people are customizing them, and kind of struggling to like I said, not have this like repeating robot in a sense, because they can only like they can't do as much where if they came out with full-fledged characters. But then it's like at that point, just come up with 2 full-fledged characters and you pick either one, you know.
True.
That would be interesting to see in a game where they have 2. Basically, you could play. It's like 2 stories. Like if you play the character as like the male version, the story is different, and it's like his story. And if you play as a female version, her story is different. It's not like the game is identical, but like the game is changed to fit I guess the genders. But then I guess that would cause problems with like the whole gender people. Well, why is her story I don't know, something that they would complain about? But I feel like it really does depend on how the character is written. That's like the most important thing they need to consider. Because an example that I could give is Valhalla. because mechanically the Eivor is female, but they also have the option of male Eivor. But because because the whole game is like you get to choose what the character says and stuff like that. Like you get like dialogue options, and because of that, that killed her character in my opinion, because she's not like in previous games, like with the Ezio trilogy, we learned who Ezio was through his story. Like, oh, Ezio's this kind of person. But then when we have the option to choose who the character is, it's not as interesting and it's not as consistent, because we're like at the beginning, maybe you played it this way, but then towards the end, you decided to change and now you're this kind of person. And then it's like, there's no like realistic consistency of like character development. It's just, you're just choosing options that don't amount to anything. It's basically like a robot, and you're just kind of randomly choosing what they say at like crucial parts of the story, and it's not the same as kind of being in a way forced to learn the character as they were written.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter as long as the characters are written well and they give you a memorable experience with the game. Like, I don't know, to the people who think like it's a bad thing, it's like it really isn't, because like look at how many sort of like memorable characters we've seen on both sides, male or female. We've had plenty of memorable and iconic characters on each side, that like no one had complaints then, and you can make the argument that the issue is that like it's a long standing thing, but like it's like I don't know, I don't know how to put it, but like like we've had characters before and we've had changes before, so it's not like it's anything new, and it's not like it affects a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
But another quick gaming update I want to provide before we get into today's topic. The last episode we talked about Overwatch 2 news, and like I was explaining to Gio and Dom, it's funny, we did that episode and then like a day or two later they provided a huge update on how Overwatch 2's like new systems are gonna work. So as far as the currency, the Overwatch coins can be earned through daily and weekly challenges in game. And I think they also said it's gonna be in the battle pass, so kind of like Fortnite and Apex, where you get the battle pass and you can earn currency so that you don't have to spend money on the next one.
Right.
And then as far as the characters go, it's like, yeah, you either unlock it through buying the battle pass or buying the character on its own, and then if you wait till, I think it's like the end of every season, challenges become available that when you complete those challenges, it unlocks the character. So it does provide a free route to unlock these characters. It's just one of those, you can unlock it for free after this amount of time, and it is going to be a while, because every season is like about 9 weeks, so that's about 2 months that you'd have to wait to unlock a character for free. The 2 months, and then on top of however long it takes you to complete said challenges, whether it was the challenges you completed to earn enough coins to buy her without spending the money, or the challenges to earn the character itself without having to spend the money.
Right.
So there is a free way. People are still kind of skeptical, but they're a bit more happy. Sorry.
Bless you.
People are a bit skeptical, of course, because they're still like, oh well, what's gonna happen when someone doesn't have the character unlocked and they have to wait till like 2 months down the line into the game to finally get a chance to play it. But I don't know, I think it's a nice little way, because like obviously since it's free to play, they need their way to earn money, and even though they're gonna earn a lot of money through cosmetics and the battle pass, it does kind of still, I don't know, I'm still iffy on the idea. Like, I understand it in a business standpoint why they're doing it, but at the same time I'm just like, man, that really doesn't make sense, when, especially because back in Overwatch 1 they were releasing the characters for free, so it's like it wasn't like it was hurting them any much when they would release a free character. So it's like I'm iffy on the whole thing still. but it's kind of a wait and see situation.
I see. I mean, I just hope it plans out well for Overwatch. I just don't want any like just money hungry tactics that they're just gonna deploy. And especially if they lock anything that's meta behind the paywall, which would be very risky to play around. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if not many players have the new heroes and they've managed to figure out a new meta, that's going to be bad for the competitive scene. That's going to be bad for those who don't have the player, who don't have the new hero, which would just further incentivize people to buy it if there's a meta that goes along with any heroes that are locked behind a paywall. Yeah. But I just hope nothing goes bad. They're probably gonna figure it out well. I mean, if they're willing to give Overwatch 2 for free, they're willing to at least make some sacrifices as to not lock, I guess, just powerful heroes in the back.
Yeah, and I agree with the whole meta thing, because then another thing is that it really discourages the whole like just playing casually aspect, because like instead of just encouraging people to play whatever characters they want, it's like this alone is going to encourage people to play the metas, because it's going to be like that whole thing of, well, if you're not using this character, you're not going to win the game,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's going to be a real annoying part, but it's kind of a wait and see situation. And I don't mean to cut you guys off if you have any further opinions, but I do want to get into today's topic solely because of how long it's been planned, as I mentioned. Probably I mentioned here on a podcast, but this idea has been essentially in the books since 2020, around the time we started this podcast. So, if you don't mind me getting straight into it, we're back with our mini-series of explaining wrestling to non-wrestling fans. And I'm going to give a brief sort of explanation to what led up to a really famous segment. So, these two wrestlers, Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin, had been in a feud, and the feud saw Stone Cold Steve Austin essentially hunting down Booker T to multiple areas. So there was a time where Booker T was at a church and he was in like those confessionals, and he was pretending to essentially be like one of the priests listening to people's confessionals. And that's when Stone Cold shows up in the other confessional and and freaks him out, and he like I can't remember if he beats him up there at the church, but or, like it causes Booker to run. There's also another time where Booker T's playing bingo at a bingo hall and Stone Cold finds him there. I'm trying to remember the other ones, but like that's basically what this whole feud is about, is just like Stone Cold this entire time is just trying to hunt down Booker T basically anywhere and everywhere that he is, making his life a living hell. Like anywhere you go, I'm gonna be there. Like that one scene from Everybody Hates Chris, where Julius is threatening Malbo, and he's like he's saying, when you in the shower, when you in your dreams, I'm gonna be there. Like that's basically what this feud was, where Stone Cold the entire time was just hunting down Booker T, making again his life a living hell. No matter where this man went, Stone Cold was gonna be there to beat him up. And I believe it concludes here with a segment that not even kayfabe, real life, caused about, I think it was $10,000 in damage.
Jeez.
Yeah, it costed them a ton of money to do this, and you can kind of tell they didn't let anyone know, or like you gotta assume, like there's one person that you're gonna see that obviously is a paid actor, but like it's just so funny to see that, like, if you assume that the people in this segment don't know what's going on and they assume this is a real fight, but it is one of the funniest segments I've ever seen, and it's a classic, iconic segment. So we're gonna pause here. I'm gonna show them the segment, and then we're gonna get their thoughts on all this. But before we get into it, Dom, what would your thoughts have been having seen this on TV? A guy getting beat up by another wrestler whenever he's like at a church, a bingo hall, wherever he's going.
I think I'd be laughing. Like anywhere he goes, he's just getting beaten up. Like, I just think the thought process of him just trying to have like a leisure, a calm time or a space to just do his own thing, and he just gets beaten up wherever he goes.
What about you, G?
But I think
Not done finished.
No, I'm just saying, like, unsuspecting people, like, if they're not actors, that's even more funnier because you get, like, an actual reaction out of them. That's just me.
I think it would have been even... I don't know how it was, because I wasn't watching it, but I think it would have been really funny if they somehow managed to trick, like, Booker T and just send him to a location without him knowing. Oh. And then while he's doing something for Steve Austin just appears. Like, he's, like, at a park, and then, like, Steve Austin just, like, reading a newspaper, and he just, like, shows himself, and he's like, oh, man, not again. That would have been really funny.
All right, I'm gonna pause here, and I'm going to start showing them the videos. All right, so I just showed them all 3 segments, the bingo hall, the church, and, of course, the notorious supermarket brawl. What are your guys' thoughts?
That was a lot of damage.
So the funniest part was definitely when he came out of the milk section, like in the refrigerator. That shit was funny to me. I was expecting him to open the door, but then I thought, wait, what if he comes out of the milk? And he actually did. I started dying. That was really funny. But also, I don't know, it felt... Dude, that segment was very long. Yeah, and, like, I know, like, they have to, like, act it out. But having to go through, like, I don't know, they did, like, a really good job on, like, making it entertaining was what they got. Because, like, I mean, you could just go around destroying the entire place. But Steve Austin, like, I don't know, he kind of, like, he made it funny with what he was saying when he was getting stuff. Like, he wants some crackers. These are hard to come by. Oh, that was funny to me.
Yeah, I love the part where he's gonna freaking hit him with the big old pizza and he starts singing a song right before he...
Oh, yeah. Like a big piece of pie. Yeah, it's funny.
What were some notable moments to you, Dom?
Every time, just him just coming back, the bingo, and then the thing where he was locked away behind where all the milk and like stuff like that, and he just comes back thinking he was locked up and fine. I thought that was funny. Just him just constantly just coming back. Although I do wonder what happens afterwards in terms of the storyline. Like, is it the same situation again and again?
Well, I think
or does Booker T get his revenge?
I think that was the final segment in terms of, like, all those segments where, he keeps showing up, Because, like, if you saw, like, in all the other segments, Austin doesn't get to him, and this is the final segment where he does get to him, and it likely does conclude in an actual wrestling match, because obviously Booker T's not going to let that slide, him getting embarrassed, not only on TV, but in a grocery market,
Right.
But, yeah, like, the craziest thing to me is just always hearing, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff on that, and, like, it's always just crazy to me that, like, even, like, looking at it and rewatching it, you're kind of confused how, but, like, it's just crazy to think that they caused a shoot $10,000 damage and, like, had to pay that grocery market, obviously, for the cost of, not only being able to film there, but all the damages they caused.
I remember, I don't know if do you guys know the show Top Gear?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the old Top Gear, not, like, the new Top Gear. They did an episode where they got, like, some hatchbacks, and they had to do, like, a lap around a grocery store. And whoever did the most damage, I think, won. And one of them managed to get $15,000 in damages, but that was with a car. And the fact that they got $10,000 with just, like, throwing each other at stuff is, like, kind of unbelievable. Because, like, how do you manage to get that much, like, do that much damage?
Yeah, it really
it's kind of crazy.
It really makes me wonder, but then you see, as they're walking around, they're bumping into stuff, they're dropping stuff, like, there's one part in the segment, you hear, like, a bunch of, like, whatever's, like, in the glass fall and shatter,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe a part of me wants to think they're including, like, the cost that it took to rent out and film in that place, you know? Because, like, I don't know, just even rewatching it, it's really hard to believe that it was 10K in damage, you know?
I mean, some of the stuff that they were knocking over is expensive, like the flowers and stuff. And then I think the walnuts are... Well, to me, walnuts are, like, overpriced because it's, like, $2 for one. And I don't know. Maybe it's, like, the little things that don't seem expensive, like, but put together, they become, like, a huge number. It could be something like that.
Yeah, Oh, wow. I didn't know this. So, this grocery market is called the Green Frog Market, and it's located in Bakersfield, California.
Oh.
So, it is here in California. You could pay a visit and see. But, yeah, it says apparently all the damage that Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin caused in their brawl resulted in WWE ending up paying a price between $10,000 and $15,000. So it's not necessarily 10,000, but yeah, it's somewhere between that range, and that's just crazy to think.
But doesn't it just seem too much? Like 10 grand in and of itself feels like it's overkill. Like maybe like less than 8,000, but 10 grand just for like a couple things to be toppled over, and maybe just to rent out the. I mean, they didn't really rent it out because I'm assuming there was people in there who were still shopping, like who weren't actors. Because there was some scenes, I think the cashier part, like where the cashier lady was just like standing by. I don't think that was an actor. And the people just walking through it, just walking through, seeing just Booker T get demolished. I think those might have been real people.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. The only one that I know for sure is an actor is the guy he attacks at the beginning that he mistakes for Stone Cold. That's obviously an actor. But, yeah, the rest of it, I'm just like, man, I really do wonder if those were a lot of, like, real people. And you want to know what's, like, the crazier part, Dom?
What's up?
This whole segment was improvised on the spot, which is why you see kind of like those awkward segments where they're, like, walking through the different aisles and seeing what they can use. But all of that was done in one take. Which obviously, it makes sense because you're like, you can't just go destroy the store and then put it back together afterwards. But it's really impressive that they did all that they did in one take, you know?
Right. Damn. I mean, I especially like the part with the milk section. Because I wonder if they knew about that. Like, because that was absolutely perfect for when, Booker T gets to that little break from Stone Cold Mother. And it's just him just popping through the milk and just him knocking the door just for the customer just to open the door for him while he just, pours a gallon over his face. That was clever. I love that.
Yeah, that's the most funniest part, especially because, like, you look at groceries now and you're just like, how did he even get from behind that, That, like, that, because, it's like, it's usually now it's like shelves, but that is like, there's that opening. And a part of me thinks like they probably looked around the store ahead of time and rehearsed it,
Yeah.
But at the same time, both men kind of, when they've been interviewed about it, they've said that it's been improvised. And Booker T himself was like talking about it, and he was saying, if they tried to do that same segment today, they would have you rehearse it for a couple days. They would have like a whole lighting crew and like 3 to 4 cameras to cut to and get the best shots. But like, a part of me is like, I like, obviously that is how it works nowadays, but like, that's almost like the beauty of this segment is that that's how authentic it feels, is that it's just one cameraman following these two guys around, and that's what gives it like an authentic feel to it. You don't have this special lighting and all these different cuts. It's just one guy following these two guys around as they beat up each other around a supermarket.
Yeah. Man.
Oh, wow. So I didn't know this. They probably did have a match, but the match actually wasn't booked for like a pay-per-view.
Interesting. So it's not in the public?
No, I'll do more like research, but I'm pretty sure what Booker T is saying is that like, despite the momentum from this feud and like all that was like happening, and of course having that supermarket brawl, they didn't bother to book a match between the two like on pay-per-view to capitalize on it, And like that's pretty crazy to think about, is that you have like a big old segment like this, and you essentially don't do nothing with it other than maybe like a match on television.
No.
But that's a weird business decision, because it's like they're like invested in the whole thing, but then they didn't want to close it out properly. That's strange. But what was like? Why was like Steve Austin so like fixated on getting him?
If I remember correctly, because this happened in 2001. So yeah, it was in 2001. Stone Cold had one of the world championships, and Booker T cost him the title. And since he couldn't, I think he couldn't go after the title like directly after, like instead of like getting like an automatic rematch, he had to like wait a bit. So in the meantime, he took it upon himself to go after the man who cost him the championship, Booker T, and that's why he was so fixated on getting to him. But man, that like I don't know, man. Like it seems like I'm repeating it, but like it's just such a crazy segment and idea to think about, and it's like it's one of those things that you'd wish you'd kind of see more of today. Like you're not obviously, a repeat. You don't want like people being like, oh, they're just trying to recreate a lightning in a bottle type segment, because it would be hard to recreate this segment, and it's it's like basically how iconic it grew to be, and how viral it got. It's like it would be hard to recreate that, but like in order to get like more eyes on the product nowadays, as it's become more cliche rather than in the mainstream, it's like you would think they would start doing more stuff like that, where it's like you have these segments where it would look and become like a viral moment online when people who aren't wrestling fans see such a thing like that. Like the one thing I always ask at the end, and I'll ask right now, if you guys were just to randomly come across this on TV at the time, like what would your thoughts have been, and like would it have enticed you to like continue watching afterwards?
I think the supermarket one, I would have been interested to see, like, to figure out the backstory of it. But the other two is just kind of like, I don't know, it's not as exciting, because it was very short compared to like the last one. It was like, well, maybe like 2-3 minutes of I guess content.
Yeah.
But if you see like two grown men fighting in the supermarket, you gotta take your time and ask why.
What about you, Dom?
I definitely question the situation. Just seeing two grown men fighting, I would definitely keep watching. Although for some reason, when was this? When did this fight take place in the supermarket?
2001.
2001. Okay, so like I don't think
we weren't even born yet. What?
That's crazy. So yeah, handheld smartphones obviously weren't a thing back then with cameras. So yeah, I don't think anyone would have like tweeted about this or like recorded this on the spot. If I were there and we had our smartphones and we saw this, I would have taken a video like, yo, these guys are fighting so crazy.
Somebody would come out with the World Star.
Exactly.
Which is why, I brought up the point. I'm so surprised they don't try and do more segments like this to capitalize on, social media in a sense, like have these viral moments that will get more people to want to tune in a sense,
Yeah, but nowadays you're going to get the whole, you guys are wasting food. What about all the starving children in Africa? Why is no one helping them? And just a bunch of like social justice warriors nitpicking at the social aspect of like what they're doing, and then that would kind of kill the fun. I mean, the people like people who don't care about that, they'd be like, "Yo, this is lit." Like, do more like extravagant stuff like this, and I'll keep watching. But then you're gonna have like the whole wave of people, the snowflakes and stuff, just coming at them for no reason. Like, you can't have fun anymore. That's the problem with the internet. You can't have fun. There's always like you're doing something wrong, and you should stop doing it, and then that just kills the fun.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen like a meme post and everyone's laughing about it, and then someone comes in, it's like, oh, so we're laughing at this now, and everyone's just like, have some fun, and they're like,
yeah, like why do they have to ruin it for everybody else? If you don't like it, just click off and don't come back. But don't come like over here with your agenda and stuff. It's like, I don't know, you're killing the vibe.
yeah, most definitely. And the closest thing I guess you could say that they're doing now is like, you know, when a celebrity shows up, like when Bad Bunny showed up to wrestle at WrestleMania, or when Logan Paul showed up to wrestle at WrestleMania and SummerSlam and stuff like that. It's like that gets people to like watch in a sense, because they're like, what the heck are they doing there? And like, believe it or not, it's not at the next pay-per-view, but when they do their pay-per-view that's going to be in Saudi Arabia, believe it or not, this is an actual sentence. Logan Paul will be challenging Roman Reigns for the world title at that event.
I feel like
all the way there, though?
Yeah, they always do events in Saudi.
Yeah, but like,
but that's an actual statement being made in 2022. Logan Paul is challenging for a world title in the WWE against the guy who's held one of the titles for like 2 years straight at this point. And everyone kind of was losing their mind at it, because they were just like, oh, all these other like deserving sort of people to challenge. But like a lot of the times at these Saudi events, they do like celebrity matches, so a lot of people are just like, it's to be expected that they're trying to like throw on like a fun match, if you want to say. And people like they did a whole press conference just to announce and like hype up this one match that isn't gonna happen till like November. So they very much took like the boxing approach to it, you know, where it's like, let's hype up this match that's gonna come up, you know, like with a good amount of time left, let's start building the hype for it. Pretty crazy stuff to think about, you know, the fact that Logan Paul out of everyone. But that's kind of the direction they're going, and I mean, it's worked out because a lot of these guys have actually been like putting in the work in a sense, but it's still like pretty crazy to see stuff like that.
I know Logan was in a wrestling match before,
Yeah,
with WWE, and I watched, like, it came up on my feed, like his afterthoughts on it, and he said that he had like a lot of fun doing it. So it's kind of you understand the perspective, because they're trying to get like all the like hot people to come in to like bring in like extra attention. But it's kind of nice to know that it's not just for the money, that he's kind of like going back to it because he had fun, and it's like he's doing it for the wrestling. And I mean, that's what I want to think, but otherwise it's kind of like it's like a money grab, and that kind of kills it. But
yeah, I definitely feel it. But with about a minute remaining, what are your guys' rating of the final of the supermarket brawl?
I feel like I definitely thought it was funny, and it was entertaining. It's kind of sad that it didn't turn out. I was expecting like a big finale, like, I don't know. Or what would be like, I don't know. I was expecting like a big finale, but like nevertheless, it was still pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. What about you, Dom?
I feel like they could have been a bit more. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it, but I feel like they could have been like a finale. Like maybe Booker T ended up in the hospital, and guess, you know, one of the nurses had to be Steve. You know, Steve.
Well, that would have been funny. Yeah, that would have been funny. They should have done that. They should have done that. That would have been really funny.
They did a segment like that with Vince McMahon, but that's a story for another day. With 10 seconds remaining, thank you all for joining for another episode of the Rule 34 podcast. I've been your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-hosts,
Dominic Castillo.
Dominic Castillo.
Thank you all. We'll catch you on the next episode.